long. There's like two guys in line for the men's restroom. They're like, come on.
So one of the things I'm interested in is women in STEM, and you kind of mentioned it before, being one of two women in your education and becoming an engineer. And you said you didn't really care that much because you were going to be Princess Leia, who was just going to do what she wanted to do and what she had to do. But like, as you're older, do you reflect back on that time, or do you talk to girls and women who want to be engineers, and what do you think about that?
I do. I go around the country and I speak at different conferences. Like I speak at Star Wars Celebration. I spoke in there a couple of times. I spoke this past year at Geek Girl Con. I do Skype a Scientist, which can I promote that? It's
absolutely.
Skypeascientist.com. If you're a scientist or an engineer, you go there and you fill out one form, or if you're an educator, you go there and you fill out another form. And what they do is, based on how you fill out the forms, they match classrooms to the scientists, and they match scientists to the classrooms. So I do that. And
That's awesome.
my husband's actually in education. So he puts me in touch with different things around the area. I'm in the Johnson Space Center Speakers Bureau. So they put you in touch with different educational programs. So I'm very big in women in STEM, because for me, it was very easy, but for whatever reason, I think it was the way my dad raised me. I don't know. Just being a nerd, big gamer, big into sci-fi. So I find this guy's world, I don't know, very easy to operate in. And I think for a lot of women, it's very intimidating. And I don't say that in a bad way, because when I talk to a lot of these women and girls, it's like, I could see, they're not used to that. They didn't grow up in that environment. And so that's why I try to go around and talk to them and be like, hey, look, it's okay. It's like, it's really not that bad. And sometimes the school part of it, those 4 years of college when maybe people aren't as mature, maybe that's just the worst part of it. And so if you can just get through that part, like NASA is a great place to work. So it's like, once you get, to where you're going to go, once you get to your career, it's, it's really, it's not as intimidating. And then, some people, once they get to college, it's, they love it. And it's really not as intimidating as they think it is in their head. So that's why I like to reach out to them and be like, look, I'm normal. I'm not, I'm not just not some dude in a lab coat who just, walks around and with my calculator and my pocket protector and, can't have a conversation about, I don't know, whatever. So.
Yeah. I think they call that in psychology just stereotype threat.
I know. And I think I think it's getting better that we're doing a better job. Maybe but maybe we're not, because it's like when I graduated, women were still 20% of engineers. Or when I graduated, we were 20% of engineers, and today we're still only 20% of engineers. So maybe we're not doing such a great job. I don't know. Maybe whatever we've been doing hasn't been working. So I don't know.
Yeah, it can be frustrating, but maybe the 20% or they'll move up into like more executive roles.
Yeah, maybe
compared to the past.
Maybe. I mean, it's I don't know. I feel like women in STEM has been such a push for so long, like, and it's easy to say, right? Like, oh, just, start a club at your school and go talk to these, this class, or go talk to that class and just show them that we exist. And I feel like we've been doing that. So it's like, maybe that's not the problem. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying I have the answer, but.
Right. But yeah, I didn't know that about the same rate as was years ago.
Yeah.
But you got to keep trying, I guess.
I'm not saying that we should abandon the effort, but I'm just saying maybe we need to, whatever we're doing, maybe we need to add something else to it. So
I wanted to talk more about your love of science fiction. Obviously Star Wars and Star Trek was really integral to you choosing to be this engineer and wanting to go to NASA. But I was just wondering if there were more recent examples, like what do you love now?
I love The Martian because Andy Weir tried so hard to, and he did a great job, and it wasn't perfect, but he tried so hard to get it right, the science right. And even though it was science fiction, I love that he put so much work in getting the science right. And he wasn't just like, oh, we're just gonna, like so many other people who try to write science fiction, they're just like, we're just gonna have like Armageddon or something, where we're just gonna do this and we're just gonna throw this out there and just have this action scene just because. And it was a good movie. It was a hit. It attracted a large, audience. It was appealing to a lot of, a diverse group of people, and it was great. And the book was good. The movie was good. It shows you that you don't have to throw the science out the window in order to be good science fiction. And so I read the book. I saw the movie, and I just thought they were both really, really, really well done. So kudos to him. And I heard that he's actually making a Mission Control TV show. So I don't know when that's supposed to be done. I reached out to him. I was like, if you need a consultant. So
that's awesome, because that panel I went to at Planet Comic-Con, they talked about like a kind of West Wing kind of show about NASA, and they just couldn't get it off the ground. And I was like, why not?
Oh, okay. Wait, was that? So there were two. There was Andy Weir, and then there was another a couple years ago. There was like another Mission Control show that didn't happen. So was this the Andy Weir one?
I don't think so, because I think she was talking about it like in the past. Like, I don't know if she knew about Andy Weir, but now that I do, that just sounds awesome. Yeah. And I was going to bring that up.
I don't know what it's called, and I haven't followed up on it in like a year, so maybe it's not a thing anymore. I don't know. I'd have to look. Like I said, I haven't followed up on it, so I'd have to go back and research it. I don't remember what it was called. I don't even know if it had a name, but I saw something about it on Facebook. So,
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I will keep an eye out too.
Yeah. So anyway, so it just raised the bar, I think, for a lot of people who are, like doing that. We're just doing science fiction in general. And I think it brought, a lot of great publicity and attention to NASA and just the space genre, in general. So.
Yeah. And just the different groups of people, the different departments that worked toward it. Like I was thinking about Donald Glover's role as just the person doing the math and the public relations people.
Right. Yes.
It did a really good job.
It really did. Because when I do go around and do talks about NASA, there's, when you're talking to a group of kids, NASA's pretty universal. Like for the most part, the majority of kids are interested in NASA, but you're always going to have a few kids who are like, well, you know what, math and science, I'm not good at it. It's not my thing, but I'm still interested in NASA. So I always try to point out that, you know what, you can be, what NASA needs? We need space lawyers. We need communications majors. We need people who can sew the astronaut spacesuits. We need artists to do things for NASA TV. We need web designers. And so you try to point out all those other different careers, and they're like, whoa, like I never thought like I could be a musician, to do music for the programs on NASA TV and still work at NASA. And so they think that it's like you have to be an engineer or you have to be an astronomer or something, but it's like, no, we need all kinds of careers. So yeah. And so, like, you're right. The Martian did do a really good job of pointing that out.
Are there any other examples? Or you can talk about shows you mentioned, or movies. You mentioned Armageddon that just turned sci-fi into more of like an action, like explosions every 10 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. It was, I enjoyed it, but it was, if you have to go into it knowing what to expect, I guess, like I'm not going to be expecting like some Oscar worthy, performance, I guess. When they were launching the 2 space shuttles at the same time, it was like, okay. I'm trying to think of other recent like science, like books that are really things that I enjoy. There've been a couple of science fiction books, I guess, that came out, but I didn't. I guess The Martian was I was just so blown away that. Yeah, Interstellar was so weird. It was so far out there that
it was.
Yeah, it just blew my head open. I was like, I have no idea what's going on. But it was a good movie, and the concept I think was really good. And I liked I liked that he was kind of an old school NASA guy. So I liked Matthew McConaughey's character. I just towards the end, I was like, oh my gosh, it was that whole the time dilation thing.
Had a left turn.
Yeah, but I liked it.
I think I watched The Martian and Interstellar back to back, and you want to make Interstellar really weird. Watch it right after The Martian, a very grounded sci-fi movie, and then you just watch Interstellar, and it's like, oh wow, The Martian could have been this, but I like that it kind of, seems so real, and that this could happen.
Yeah. I don't know if this is really sci-fi, but there were some books I read like a few years ago, but I was really into like post-apocalyptic fiction, and now it's like it's becoming too close to reality, so I kind of stay away from it. But
I understand.
Well, like I was playing The Road. I thought The Road was really good. It was a really good book. I don't know if you'd really call it science fiction, but
yeah. That's a good point. Because sci-fi is often takes place in the future and it's often like a dystopian take. I view dystopian as science fiction, like it goes back and forth. The Road was very depressing.
Yeah, it was so depressing.
I couldn't even watch
the movie.
I couldn't watch the movie.
That was and so like Walking Dead type stuff. So I don't know if you'd really just zombies. I don't know if you would consider that straight up science fiction, but
if shows or TV or movie or what have you, if they have some sort of at least attempt to explain it in a scientific way, it at least makes it a little bit sci-fi. So in Walking Dead, like the first season,
right? Okay,
right. So that is my broad definition of science fiction.
And so I guess I kind of have to address it because the hardcore Star Wars fans are going to be like, or even the hardcore Star Wars haters are going to be like, Star Wars is not science fiction. It's a space opera. So let's just put it out there. I will go with either definition. I'm not bound to either one. So
I love Star Wars too. Yeah, I guess people call it space fantasy. I've seen that.
Yeah, so I can see. I welcome all definitions. I'm not going to argue with anyone who wants to come and pound their fists and just scream at me that it's not science fiction. Okay, you're right. You're all right. And also the people who want to make the argument that you have to pick a side. Star Trek or Star Wars, I will argue with you because they are completely different. So yeah, it's like, it's like picking, I don't know, pizza or a salad. It's come on now.